Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Boanoita, and welcome to this, the 16th and final round of our North American League here at Apex Online Racing. Tonight on home turf for a lot of our drivers, coming to you from Interlagos in Sao Paulo. Joining me on this momentous occasion, back after a prolonged break, is the bounty of knowledge and charm that is Benny Kage. Benny, how are you doing on this fine evening?
Doing great, sir. Doing fantastic. I got all my Christmas shopping done, so you know that's doing awesome. How about you? How are you been?
I've been doing okay. I've been keeping track of everything that's been going on over the past week with everything over here in the UK and also in our league as well. It's been quite eventful. Those of you who were here for Imola last week no doubt will know what I'm on about. But it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back.
Thanks. It's great to be back.
So, why don't we get you caught up on what you've missed and how the standings are looking as of the end of last week's race. That sound like a plan?
That sounds excellent. Why don't you start us off with the Drivers' Championship there, Tipster?
So, Lucas Yarn widened their gap to Flavio after not only taking the win, but also the fastest lap at Emilia Romagna last week. 18 points the difference going into the final race. It's not impossible, but Flavio is going to be relying on Lucas to make a mistake if they want that Drivers' Championship. Bizimon has locked down third place after their fourth place finish of the season, and their closest rivals, Igor and Lars, were unable to finish. Giovanni finished a lap down from the rest of the pack after multiple incidents on track, but Steph managed to take advantage of the safety car to secure 8 points, propelling them ahead of both Axel and Jack in the championship. Sabbath is slowly gaining on them after finishing 5th on track, and those 10 points put them just a point behind Jackie and only 6 points off the back of Steph. Piana returned for their third race of the season to take podium behind the Aston Martins, moving them into 11th overall, overtaking Tazik, who, despite an atrocious qualifying session, crossed the line in 7th, putting 6 more points of air between them and Shentar. Speaking of Shentar, they'll have Maicon in the Ferrari to worry about, just 1 point behind after taking a haul of 4 points for Ferrari at Imola, and Murphy is 8 points back from them after scoring another point on the board. I'm really bad at words today. Bulldog moves up a place, taking 9th after what was after all was said and done last week, with Firefox not on the starting grid. So what has that done to the Constructors? Let's take a quick look as our drivers are getting ready.
Well,
Benny.
Ferrari is in 10th place at the bottom, 18 points, just a point behind Williams in 9th on 19. Mercedes has got 41. They are occupying 8th place. Alfa Romeo's in 7th. They're on 56. Red Bull are in 6th on 89. Should there have been team reserves on here, they would actually slot in between Red Bull and Haas on 93, but Team Haas in 5th on 109. They dropped down a position after last weekend's race. AlphaTauri is up to 4th. They are on 114, so that's a big fight in the Constructors' Championship to look out for. McLaren in 3rd on 104. They are guaranteed at least 3rd, but they can be pipped by AlphaTauri should things go awry for the two McLarens. Alpine guaranteed at least 2nd on 206, and Aston Martin there the whole way at the top, 640 points. They are, and have been for quite some time, the Constructors' champions.
And here it is, the battleground for tonight's finale, Interlagos. 36 laps around this 4.3 kilometer circuit will decide our drivers' championship. 15 corners, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, 2 DRS zones, one coming out of the center S and the other on the entrance to turn 15, setting up for a critical passing opportunity down into turn 1. And it looks like our drivers are getting into their cars and are almost ready to go for tonight's qualifying session. So let's head on down to the track, take a look at what...
I have a weather report for you there, Tipster.
Oh yes,
if you're
go
ready
ahead.
for it. So a lot of overcast for the race, but no rain, and qualifying is going to be completely sunny. So absolutely no rain for the race, though. A lot of clouds overhead, but not a drop of rain.
Not a drop of rain predicted by our weather center. So it's going to be dry throughout by the look of it tonight. As our first driver gets out on track right now. Just let me get everything else set up. There we are. So leading the pack, it looks like we have StarCraft out front in the cold air, with the green track out there. What should we be looking out for tonight, Benny? What are we kind of expecting from tonight's race?
You mean in terms of the times for the qualifying, or
let's start with the times for qualifying, and then we can get into a little bit more detail later on.
Well, we saw 106s. I think a 106.4 or 106.2 was the pole lap for our EU League earlier today. So I think, around that is probably what you're going to see. Mid to low 106s seems to be kind of the pace for qualifying. Outside of that, 107s, low 107s is probably going to be good enough to get you up towards the top of the grid. So that's what I would look out for in terms of qualifying. For the actual track itself, the Senna S is kind of a very tricky part, turns 2 and 3, because entry is very important going into there. It's one of the few, kind of corners in Formula One where entry is just as important as exit, or even more so, because if you don't enter with the right line or with the right pace, you can completely throw off your entire lap. And then also you want to look out for sector 2, especially that, I believe it's turn 10. The Pico de Pato is the track kind of dips away from there. It's a little bit off camber and it's very bumpy, so it can throw the rear end very, very, very quickly.
Well, as our drivers are making their first few laps around the track, StarCraft is going to be first to set a time here. Let's see what they can pull out as they come around turn 15 just there. Barely even a turn those last few. 109.7 the benchmark at the moment. We have Maicon in the Ferrari just coming down. Bulldog setting a 110.3.
Maicon invalidated his lap.
Maicon unfortunately invalidating. So shall we pick a driver and go for an onboard lap around this circuit? Let us do that. And I believe
let's pick Igor, because he is about to start his flying lap. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him, though, so he's gonna have to be careful here.
Okay.
But I'm gonna ride on board with Igor here.
And here we go. Benny Kage, take us on a flying lap around this circuit.
Absolutely. So very important to get the run out of, I believe it's 13, because it sets you up for this very long straight. He's running quite wide. That's fine. Only 2 wheels over onto that green. He sticks it back around towards the center S's. A little loose there, it looks like, but you can take a lot of the curve here, but you have to be careful not to take too much. You definitely want to stick it on that left-hand curve on the exit, the center S's. And he looks like he's done just that. Down now towards the start of sector 2. He is kind of always invalidated his lap. Oh, that's unfortunate. So
that's very unfortunate indeed. Yeah,
so much for the flying lap. So he's pulled off onto the grass, let cars behind him go, because he is completely invalidated this lap. So let's move on, shall we?
Yep.
To Lucas Jan.
Shall we indeed?
So he's in sector 2, right around where the lap was invalidated. That first right-hander is a little tough. It is off camber, but this second one that he's coming up to here, this is that tough turn, because it really, the back end of the car wants to step out, and you've got to be able to get the car right without it stepping out and fling the car back left. Here come the final 2 turns. Really, ooh, little loose, very loose there from Lucas Jan. You can see he had to snap the back end back in place. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. Looking like a pretty decent lap, and he's going to come across the line. Is it going to be a 105? No, it's a 106.9. So good enough for pole, but he certainly left a lot of time on the track, especially with that back end getting loose on turn 13. So we'll see if he can improve it in a second run.
Yes, and speaking of a second run, let's have a look at the other Aston Martin, Flavio. The only other person in contention for the Drivers' Championship tonight, effectively needs Lucas Jan to finish outside of the points to stand a chance. Looking at their lap so far, 16.5 through Sector 1, 33.7 through Sector 2 as they come into that DRS zone down the home straight and across the line in a 106.7, putting them pole. But we know that Lucas Jan has still got quite some time left on the table, and there's definitely time to be picked up there from Flavio as well. Other people to watch out for tonight. Axel has had run after run of third place hit during this league, so they're going to be a contender up towards the front, as well of course, as Fizzymon, Igor, and Lars, who were kind of our third place contenders for the longest time. I
think the big ones to watch there, Tipster, too, is you get the midfield of the pack, right? Steph Farrell. We talked about Steph Farrell's consistency so far this season, really just picking up point scoring finish after point scoring finish, only once finishing outside the top 10, and that was 11th, or only twice I should say, and that was 11th in a DNF. So very consistent. And Steph Farrell's in 7th, looking to chase down potentially Giovanni Santos. Axel is only 4 points back, so definitely one to look out for. And then Jackie Jack and Sabbath are only a point back from Axel. I'm sorry, Jackie Jack is a point back from Axel. Sabbath is a point back from Jackie Jack. So really that midfield battle for, 6th through 10th in the championship, I think is going to be one to particularly watch as well.
Well, looking at that midfield, Jackie Jack just slightly faster than Sabbath at the moment as we hit the 10-minute mark in qualifying. Just 0.03 of a second separating the two of them. Fizzymon then in 8th. Then we've got Firefox and then Steph Farrell putting a 7.98. So to be fair to Steph, they've been kind of upfront about how their qualifying performance isn't their best performance. They tend to fare a lot better during the race when other people have other stuff to deal with, shall we say. Well,
yeah, and that's very true. My only concern for Steph and the rest of the chasing pack is that Giovanni Santos has put in a 107.2, so he is really flying. I mean, and that's a really fast lap. So if they want to hunt down 6th place, that's a heck of a qualifying lap to try and beat a 107.2. Remember, pole here is only a 107 or 106, 7, and EU is a 106.3. I beg your pardon, it was a 106.3 in EU. So, that 107.2 is not a slow lap by any means, as Shentar now goes 9th, so Fizzy's down to 11th, Firefox is down to 12th. So Steph Farrell is going to, put in a great lap, by the way. It's a 107.4, so right up there, chasing down the Red Bull, minus to tip 6th place. It's a lot of points that have to be made up. I think Steph has to finish at least better than 5th, and hope that Giovanni doesn't point, but that's still 107.2 now coming in for Jackie Jack as well. That midfield fight, you see it It's third through sixth right now on the leaderboard.
Yep, as Fizzymon makes their way over the line as well. No improvement there. Igor is now on their hot lap after coming out of the pits. Funny you mentioned Giovanni Santos, to be fair, because we found them to be very boom or bust this season. Either they place very highly or they don't finish at all. So they're kind of a wild card in our pack tonight. We don't entirely know what to expect from them, as time after time they've been up towards the front, and then towards the end of the race it's just gone pear-shaped for them and they've crashed out. So interesting battle to watch there as well, especially considering how close Steph is behind them.
I think as well, Tipster, if you're Fizzy and you have third place locked in right now, right? Sure, you don't really want to be down here in P11. It's not ideal, but I think if you, as Fizzy goes actually up to 6 with that flying lap, that's a pretty good flying lap. But I think if you can give Jackie Jack the toe to try and get above Igor, Giovanni, you know, just try to see if you can get a toe, as Lars goes third now with a 107.0. But I think getting the toe from Fizzy would be huge for Jackie Jack. Maybe the potential to get Jackie Jack to a better starting position and maybe have a chance at some good points ahead of, say, Giovanni and Axel and all them to jump in the standings at the end.
Well, there's it's quite a competitive field towards the top now. Lars just 200ths ahead of Igor, and just a 10th separating them and Giovanni Santos. Half a 10th separating them from Axel, as Mycon joins the pack with a 7.141. And this is the thing here, these because it's such a short lap, these lap times, there's going to be barely anything in them for our top end drivers. Although Flavio is currently a full 4/10ths clear of Lucas Jan, as Giovanni Santos sets a 6.8, eking ahead of Lucas Jan there, and perhaps giving the Aston Martins a run for their money tonight.
Very good lap from Giovanni Santos. Really brilliant lap, splitting the Aston Martin. So we'll see if that holds. Lucas Jan certainly plenty of time to go grab another lap. We'll see if that's the case. Another one to be careful of, by the way, who has not come out of the pits yet, is Rafa. Rafa can show a little bit of pace, so interesting to see. Just keep an eye on him whenever he decides to come out to try and go for a flying lap. There's only 2 cars on a flying lap right now. StarCraft is one of them, or it might be one of them. You know, might dive into the pit as well. And yeah, he's coming into the pit, so that's going to leave just Finale down in 17th place on a flying lap. A 109.5 currently, very slow with that Alfa Romeo, so needing to improve. We'll see if he can do just that, as around to almost turn 10. That's turn 8, I believe. And now this left-hander that goes down the hill is very nice. It's very, you can understeer a little bit there, but usually the car sticks very nicely for you, as opposed to that uphill. You can see the back end there just slightly loose, and that's the danger of that turn 10, as 52.0 through the middle sector is a little bit slow. We'll see if he decides to abort the lap or maintain it. Looks like he's going to go for it. He's going to try and stick it through. And what's the time? Finale is going to improve to a 109.0, but he's only going to bump StarCraft down to P17. So a lot of time there still for Finale to be gained.
And, well, our drivers are starting their final stints with 3 minutes 45 on the clock here at Interlagos. What do you think would be the latest that you could leave it before you leave the pits here? What would you say is kind of the cutoff for getting out of the pit lane?
Well, I'm not a guy that usually likes to take a lot of risks, so for me, I wouldn't let it drain down more than 2 minutes. But I think personally, if you can get out of the pits or you can press go with like about a minute 30, minute 40 left, you probably can come across the line and just in time to start a hot lap. We'll see, but I wouldn't leave it that late. I'm generally not a very risky guy like that.
Well, we're looking at Lucas Yarn right now, who is on their hot lap. They're 300ths down on their previous time as they hit the Sector 2 line. So quite a bit to make up if they want to reach Flavio. And coming across the line now in a 106.6. That puts them P2. Full 2/10 ahead of Giovanni Santos. Igor's out there at the minute, just coming across the line. I think this isn't going to be an improvement from them, but they still have got another lap out there if they need it to try and nudge closer to Giovanni. I say that, and they've just invalidated their lap through the Center S. So unfortunate for them, but Flavio's come out to play now. Knows that his pole position is at risk, just a 10th, less than a 10th separating him from Lucas Yarn.
Speaking of a 10th, Axel was a 10th up in the second sector. He is coming across the line right now, and it's a 107. Oh, he gains 2/10 2/10 flat on his previous time. That's good enough to pip Lars down to 5th. Axel's got 4th right now.
Well, Flavio has unfortunately invalidated their lap, so they're not going to be improving here. Let's go down to Sabbath in P8, who has run wide on the track to let someone through. Looks like they're not on a hot lap, so let's move down to Shentar right now, who's just coming down the back straight. Their first sector time a 19.8, so considerably slower than the rest of the field. I think this is not going to be a competitive lap from them here.
Just keep an eye as well on Fizzymon. He's done 2 out laps. So Fizzymon's done. So the minimum fuel's like 3.5 laps around here. So you can do 2 out laps, and I think he's pulled out here.
Yeah, it looks like Fizzy is slowing up. Lucas Yarn has retired. Flavio's in the pits, and it looks like they're going to be leading our grid. I say that, and Giovanni Santos is on a burning lap right now. 16.5 through Sector 1, an improvement for them as they start weaving their way through Bico de Pato, or the Duck's Bill, if you really want to use the English term for it. As we come across the Sector 2 line, 300ths down on their previous time, but maybe their exit from that corner can give them a little bit more speed through the 3rd sector as they come across into turn 15 and across the line in a 106.9 into the barrier as well. Rafa.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He's just got a 5-place grid penalty. Rafa's only done a 111, by the way. Rafa's
going to be starting from the back of the grid, I suppose.
Yeah.
After his teammate collided into him, by the look of it, at the end of their hot lap. Igor here. Currently running 21.0 through Sector 1, so definitely not a competitive time from then. Icon has just invalidated their lap. Lars finishes P5. So, our final running order.
Fizzy.
Oh, it's
Fizzy's
on Fizzy.
Still on a hot lap. Fizzy's going for it. He's in P12 right now. Not a great qualifying session. Can he come across the line? It's a 106.9. Fizzy goes up to P5 at the absolute bonsai last-minute qualifying lap, and he secures P5. So, wow, what a lap from Fizzy right at the death. Good enough to get into the top 5. Igor is just going to pull this into the pits. That's qualifying. Done and dusted.
That's qualifying done and dusted. And to be fair, a 106 at that point, Fizzy must have crossed the line literally just as the clock ran out. That is astonishing, and they must have been praying when they were leaving the pits that they could get round in time. But it's paid off for them. P5 on the grid. So let's take a look at our grid. Up front, Aston Martin's Flavio in pole, Lucas Yarn in second by just 0.08 of a second. Then it's Giovanni Santos and Igor making up row 2.
Then you had Fizzy in P5, so
Fizzy,
Lars is
yeah.
Sorry, God, I'll let you continue the order.
So Fizzy and Lars on our third row. Then it's Axel and Maicon in row 4. Sabbath and Shentar finishing out our top 10. So those are going to be the people starting on their qualifying tyres. Steph with what some people would call strategic pole in 11th. Followed by Jackie Jack in 12th, Murphy's Law in 13th, Firefox in the Haas in 14th. Then we have Taylor Funk, Finale, Starcraft, Lundqvist Bro, Bulldog, and at the back, on time alone, never mind the 5 position penalty that they were given by their teammate, is Rafa.
So there you have it. There's the grid for the final race of AOR for season 22. Very good result for most. We are going to get a new lobby, it looks like, by the way. So just bear with us. It's going to take us a little while longer.
Yep.
But
so, quite the intense qualifying session there, has to be said.
Yeah, really intense. You know, with what do you call it? Fizzy getting the lap in it right at the last minute. You know, Giovanni Santos showing he's got quite good pace, and you know, Lars is up there as well. So really, I think a really interesting qualifying session, and so really, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the race goes. By the way, so all that talk about a completely dry race, by the way, out the window now, because we have got a brand new lobby.
Yeah. So our weather center is going to have to do some frantic updating as we get ready here. We're just waiting on things to be set up, and it looks like it looks like some of our drivers are still doing the rain dance out there. And who knows, it might be a wet race to start. It might be a wet race to finish. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the weather's like. I'll try to get you that inside report again, but still, you know, I think it's gonna be interesting. We had the EU race completely dry. I'm wondering if we're gonna see rain, because that middle sector, especially that infamous turn, the one, the Bico de Pato. I think it's just so tough in the wet because of the way it just falls off camera a little bit as you go into it. So I think that's going to be really tricky if it is going to be a wet race.
Well, it's certainly going to mess with the weight distribution of the cars, and if it's in the wet, then it's going to cause all kinds of problems for stability. Just looking over the qualifying standings at the moment, there are some tight gaps. The gap between third and fourth, between Giovanni and Igor, just 6 thousandths separating them.
Are you in the lobby, by the way? Oh, there you go. There you are.
Just got the invite. Then down to 9th and 10th between Sabbath and Shentar. 9 thousandths the gap there. 6 thousandths separating Steph Farrell and Jackie Jack. So there's some very kind of close distances in pace out there, and I wonder what that means for our race today.
Well, he's setting the grid right now, so we should be getting underway shortly. Definitely, Lucas is going to be Giovanni is third, by the way. So it's what is it? Flavio in pole, and then Lucas Jan was second, right?
Flavio in pole, Lucas Jan in second by just 0.08.
Yeah, and then it is going to be Giovanni Santos, Igor, Fizzy, Lars, Axel, Rafa, Jackie Jack. Sorry, Lars, Axel, Maicon.
Yes.
Sabbath, Shentar.
Yep.
Def Farrell.
Yep.
Jackie Jack.
Yep.
Murphy's Law. I might be watching the stream.
Yep.
Firefox. Don't tell anybody. Taylor Funk.
Yep.
Finale.
Yep.
Starcraft.
Yep.
Lundqvist Bro.
Okay.
The Bulldog, and then Rafa's at the bottom.
Yep. That lines up with what I've got here from our race control, so we'll call that even, shall we? Let's take whilst we're waiting for our drivers, let's take another quick look at those standings, because with those times in mind, it is kind of tight between Steph Farrell and Sabbath there. And if we look at their times on track, Sabbath 0.6 off the lead, Steph Farrell just 0.07 behind them, Shentar being in the sandwich there. And then, of course, back to Jackie Jack, who is part of that mid-pack, by the way, just 0.06 thousandths further back from Steph. So it's going to be intense racing for 7th place today, with just with just 6 points separating
right.
the four of them. Yeah,
it's very tight in the midfield. Giovanni Santos is, with that. I mean, he's got to keep it in the race. I mean, he's got 5 DNFs so far this season, but it looks like, I mean, the last one wasn't all the way back until Monza, so it's been a little bit more consistency from him, even though he had 2 finishes outside the points in Suzuka and Imola. But still, the point being is he's managed to keep the car in the race, so if he can do that, he could probably secure enough points to lock in 6th position. So, but I think Steph down to Sabbath, there's only 6 points between 7th and 10th, like you said. So there's really a lot that's going to be fought over on track between Steph Farrell, Axel, Jackie Jack, and Sabbath. We'll definitely see how it goes. So, well,
out of those 4, Axel qualified the highest and has certainly put the pace to the Aston Martins previously. They've come in leaps and bounds since they've been in their AlphaTauri full time, with 3 podiums to their name. Looking further down the table, Shentar and Maicon separated by just a single point, and then of course Bulldog and Firefox, 2 points the difference there. It is. Well,
the rain dance has worked.
The rain dance has indeed worked.
It is raining.
It isn't just raining, it is storming out there. Just taking a look at our weather center now. Qualifying light cloud rain. That hasn't updated. My weather center controller hasn't updated yet.
I can tell you it's wet to start. It's going to be full wets as well. It is. And then the race is actually going to lighten up, and it's going to clear out by the end. So you're looking at heavy rain for the opening, about 15 minutes. And then from there, it's going to be light rain into partly cloudy and then sun. It's going to be absolutely sunny at the end of this race. So we're in for a really, really interesting Brazilian Grand Prix right now.
Yep, and speaking of that, by the way, it's already causing havoc out there. 3 of our drivers on the formation lap having issues, and are going to be starting on cold tires.
Yep. I mean, everybody's starting on cold tires. It's wet.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
to be fair, to be fair to them.
So, starting out wet, about 15 minutes in, we're expecting it to go to light rain, and then we're talking what, 2/3 the way through the race? The dries?
About, yeah, just about, looks like. So, I can see the Aston Martins are sliding around, actually. At least Flavio is in his. So, it's going to be tough for these cars because a lot of these cars might have a dry setup on them, and it's a wet race as well. That's something to be mindful of. You look at them all going through that turn, losing the rear end, by the way. If you've been following Flavio, but still, you know, it's going to be tough, man. The Stena S and you know, that middle sector is really going to separate kind of the men from the boys a bit there.
Yes, Sector 2, the most technical sector on the circuit, and notorious for people spinning off through turns 7, 8, and 9 because of that adverse camber we were on about earlier. Also, the Senna S, some drivers definitely have difficulty keeping it on track through there as well, even though it is kind of almost flat out through there if you can pitch it right. I doubt it's going to be like that in the wet though, as it is storming here in Sao Paulo, as our final driver makes their way to the back of the grid. Rafa lining up in 20th as we go green. And I can't see the lights from this camera angle, so we're guessing. I think that's 5 lights, and away we go. And Flavio currently leading, and it's going to be a bit of mayhem going into this first turn. A lot of drivers taking it easy towards the back. They're like 3 or 4 wide by the look of it.
Still nobody. Oh, there's a big accident. There's been an accident.
That is Taylor Funk and I believe Finale having a little bit of trouble there. Taylor Funk ending up going a little bit wide through turn 1 and then having to rejoin on the inside of turn 2. And that has cost them a significant amount of time. It doesn't look like there's any damage to the wing, at least from where we're sitting, although it has also... oh,
and Bulldog's off in the back as well.
Oh, Bulldog's gone off as well.
Bulldog's gone off. Oh, and there's another one that's gone off. Bulldog's just straight up retired. He's had enough.
And I think that's Lundqvist who has got a bit wide there as well. So already Spin City here at Sao Paulo. However, up the front, the Aston Martins seem to be having very little trouble keeping pace, with Flavio setting a 1:24 in the wet on their first lap. That's pretty decent pace for the wet round here, isn't it?
Well, it's the first lap, so you got to think that that's also going to drop because it's not a standing start. So this second lap will be much quicker. So just keep an eye on intervals. Lucas is really pressuring him as well. Maicon might be having a look for 6th position as Igor already has track extension penalty. Oh my God, Igor. Shentar's moved up to P10. Nice pass. He gets the pass done on Jackie Jack and Murphy's Law. Jackie Jack in the other Alpine really struggling to start. He's down in 11th position as Firefox in the back has gone for the pass on StarCraft. Oh, StarCraft's had a spin. That's why StarCraft has had a spin. He's lost the front end plate as well, so that's a pit stop for him. Finale's in the pits as well, so it looks like there was just enough damage on Finale. But yeah, what a crazy start to this Grand Prix so far. And I think the closest battle on track right now is going to be between Maicon and Lars.
Well, speaking of Lars, I don't know what just happened there. I had a little bit of desync because I saw them skidding across the grass and suddenly they're back in the middle of the track.
Well, they must have done something because they're diving into the pits right now, and I think it's going to be for a wing change.
It looks like it. So Steph moves up to 13th. Lars has retired. I'm just going to take a look at race control. As we go for a virtual safety car. Lars out of the race. Maicon out of the race as well.
Maicon looks like he's binned it on the run down to turn 1. So, or I mean turn 4, I should say. So Finale or Maicon is out. That's a huge loss. Maicon, by the way, he was trying to push up the leaderboard. He's in 14th on the drivers and really had a chance to pick up some points over the likes of maybe Shentar and Tazik, and instead now will be pretty much planted down there in 14th position. So that's where he'll finish in the championship.
Let's move towards the front where Giovanni Santos is closing in on Lucas Yarn. They were down to just a few tenths into turn 10. Coming out of it, they're now almost a full second back. It seems that they had a little bit of rear end trouble going through there. Of course, no DRS because we are racing in the wet at the moment, but Giovanni seems to be having some trouble with that third sector.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Murphy's Law side by side with Jackie. Jackie pulls out of it, going out of the Senna S's, but now might have to line this up for turn 4. He gets behind the Alpine. He wants to go in towards the inside here. He's just going to have it going into the braking zone. That's really nicely done. That's a very solid move from Murphy's Law. Into 9th, Jackie Jack. The struggles continue with that Alpine. Down in 10th position now. And now Murphy's Law going to try and run down Shentar, who went a little bit wide in that McLaren. This Alpine wants to get back at the Williams, but not going to be enough space there going into turn number 10. And so Jackie Jack will have to pull out of it. Taylor Funk is into the pits, but yeah, it's a really good battle going on here for 9th right now.
Yeah, and looks like Jackie Jack has fallen back to about 7 tenths now. Murphy's Law keeping fairly consistently on the tail of Shentar and is in fact closing the gap. Shentar also with that time penalty towards the end of the race. So, and has actually dived into the pits. So I believe that's wing damage for them. As Murphy moves up into P8 and is now pacing down Sabbath.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is that I believe, oh no, it's a drive-through. He's serving his drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car.
Oh.
So that's why he's dove into the pits, because he had to serve the penalty. So that's put Shentar back in 12th position. He's going to come out just ahead of Lundqvist, bro, but he's got about a 10 to 13. It's going to be like a 12-second gap, really, up to... Okay, maybe not 12. That's over exaggeration, but it's about a 10-second gap to Steph Farrell in 11th position. Meanwhile, at the front, mind you, it's still Flavio ahead of Lucas Jan, but Lucas is staying very tight to his teammate here. Maybe trying to get a run down going into turn 1.
Yep, as we see a yellow flag in Sector 2. That looks like one of the Red Bulls as we go for a full safety car. I think that's Rafa. The front wingers come off the Red Bull. And Flavio gets a penalty for speeding into the pit lane as Lucas Jan and Flavio dive into the pit. Giovanni Santos following. So Fizzymon skips past to take the lead under our safety car here.
Yeah, it's not time for inters. It's just not time for intermediate tires. Although that's what Flavio and Giovanni, they're all going on to inters. Lucas inters, Igor inters, Giovanni inters, Flavio inters. So they're swapping over to the intermediate tire. Fizzy still believes this wet is the preferred tire of choice. And that's a full, like you said, under the full safety car as well. It's going to be interesting to see. Of course, the nose change for Rafa, who lost his nose. He's gone back on to full wets as well. Shentar's moved on to the intermediate tires now as well. Same with Murphy's Law. Is it time for inters? And the big question too, Tipster, is going to be, even if it's not time now, by the time the safety car comes in about 2 laps time, will it be time for intermediate tires?
Well, we saw from our weather center that it was going to be storming until about, I think it said 15, no, sorry, until about 10 minutes in. We're just coming up on the end of lap 6 now. With what? Lap time's about 1:20, so we've been going for... I think it's going to be close. Yeah,
about 10 minutes.
I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to be at the crossover phase by the time this safety car actually comes in. Especially considering we're going to have another lap behind the safety car. Sabbath moving up to P2 as Axel dives into the pits.
Yeah, Axel's in, so is Finale. It looks like they might be going on to Inters. Axel certainly is. Inters for Axel. And Finale has gone on to a fresh set of wets. I don't know if that's the right call. Finale, fresh set of wets for him. And safety car should be coming in this lap, but Axel's going to rejoin in 11th position. That's, I don't know. I mean, if it's time for Inters, he's going to be fine, right? Because those wet tires in front of him are going to have to pit. But if he's going on even a fraction too early, he's going to struggle to get back into the top 10.
Well, the thing is, it's not just Axel that's going to have to worry about it. Half the field at this point is on those intermediates. So if Axel's going to struggle with it, then a lot of other people are as well. Towards the front, Flavio, Giovanni Santos, Lucas Yarn being held up because of the double stack there, is currently down in P6. Still haven't had the message from race control for the safety car to come in this lap. We're expecting it as we approach the sector 3 line here. And nothing as of yet, so it looks like we will probably be going for another lap under safety car.
Now that's only going to play into these hands that have gone on to the Inters. Look at the way the rain's falling too. It's a lot lighter than the start of this race, Tipster. It's a lot lighter, so it's just going to continue to feed into the intermediate conditions. And Fizzy and Sabbath and Janky Jack have still decided not to pit. They still decide that full wet tires are the way to go.
Well, the thing is that there's still quite a lot of standing water out there. I can understand why they're making that decision. You can see the water's pooling a bit, some of it on the racing line, in fact. So it is a tough call to make. And, you know, if you go on those inters too early, you're aquaplaning through some of the tougher corners like Bico de Pato.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing the puddles really on the racing line too much now. As you head down towards turn 5, like I see the puddles on the track. I'm not going to argue that, but on the racing line itself, there's really not a lot of standing water anymore. So I think intermediates, it might just be the right call right now for intermediate tires. You can see going around the turn, like there's standing water on the outside of that turn, but on the line itself, it's pretty okay. So intermediate tires are probably the best bet, and there's only four runners now in the top 11 that are left on the wets, and they could risk getting eaten up. One of them is going to be one of them is Fizzymon, our race leader, as the safety car is going to come in this lap.
Yep. So Fizzymon holding the starting pistol as our safety car starts to make its way into the pit lane. Easing up a bit, backing everybody else up because, well, they've got the advantage here of pretty much telling the field when to go as they come out of turn 14 into 15, and that's a severe collision under safety car for Finale, who has smacked into the back of Shentar there.
Oh, there's a car around. Is that? Oh no, that's Firefox. He's in the pits. I beg your pardon. So yeah, it is going to be a penalty for Finale. He's already a lap down practically. So unfortunate for him. But we are back going racing. Ooh, Flavio Sabbath side by side, and they asked that the Alfa Romeo runs wide.
Yep, and it was 3 wide there for a second as well behind them, and it's quite the scenes here as Axel moves up to P8. Rafa pulling past Taylor Funk into 13th. Igor and Sabbath side by side. Igor taking the outside line as they go into Bico de Pato. Igor having that inside line through that tighter turn, managing to sneak into P5. As it stands, Flavio is up front. Giovanni Santos managing to get past Fizzy there as they come out of turn 11. And Lucas Yarn also managing to make the pass round the outside. It appears the wets aren't doing it for them as Fizzy pulls into the pits.
Yeah, all the wet compound tires actually have pulled in. Fizzy, Sabbath, Jackie Jack, Steph, they're all in the pits now to get these changed. And they have to be careful. Jackie Jack's going to suffer a lot. This is going to be the double stack for Alpine, so that's going to be a big problem. They've got to get the other set of intermediate tires out. Jackie's going to lose a lot of time in the pits. That's so unfortunate. But Fizzy is out. That's really going to hurt Jackie Jack's chances of trying to get in towards that top 6, top 7 spot in the championship, as the double stack really suffering. But it is going to be Flavio in the lead, Giovanni Santos in second, Lucas Jan in third. They just stayed out. The call to go to intermediates, Tipster, was the right call.
Well, they should be glad that safety car came out when it did just before they reached the pit lane entry, as we have a yellow flag in sector 2. I believe that is... Was that Jackie Jack? No. No, I've lost track of who it was.
I don't know who it was, to be honest with you. But
whoever it is, they seem to have recovered as Flavio sets the fastest lap of the race. Axel, though, just taking it away from them a full 5 thousandths faster. So Axel on pace with our front runners. So as it stands, Flavio up front with Giovanni Santos 6 tenths behind, Lucas Yarn trailing them, and then Igor a full second back, with Axel a further second back as well.
Yeah, super unfortunate, but nonetheless, Firefox is pushing Sabbath, so looking for maybe to get the move done down into turn 4. Is he not? He's not going to have enough track, but he's right on the tailbone here of Sabbath for 9th. So it's to say it's super unfortunate for the cars we have lost. StarCraft, Micon, Lars, and the Bulldog as well. Lars retiring very early, but nonetheless, this Haas of Firefox, as he cuts the chicane and he's going to get, or he cuts the apex, he's going to get a 3-second time penalty. He's looking to make the pass on track on Sabbath and get ahead, maybe try to catch up to Fizzy, who is 6.7 seconds off the pace of Rafas. Flavio sets the fastest lap, a 1:16.2. Now he's a full 1.3 ahead of Giovanni Santos, who is holding up Lucas Jan in the other Aston Martin.
Yeah, just 3 tenths separating them. And speaking of Lucas Jan, a 1:16.3 last lap, a full 4 tenths faster than Giovanni. So the pace is definitely there to get past them. It's just getting the position on track, getting the job done, basically, as we go down sub 2 tenths between them, as Firefox has spun out, and I believe that's the end of their race as we go for another safety car.
It is going to be the end of the race. It's another safety car. Shentar's coming around now, so let's see. He looks like he's bended in the wall.
Yeah.
And he has. He's absolutely bended in the center S. It is a tricky part in the wet, and the safety car is going to help people like Fizzymon, though. He gets him closer. Remember, he had to pit under green flag conditions because he thought the wets were going to last, and then they didn't. He was getting absolutely eaten up on that first lap back to green flag racing. So now you see the standing waters pretty much gone from the track, as I don't think it's going to be dries yet.
Well, Taylor seems to think differently, as they've gone onto the mediums right now.
Yeah, I think this is a bit too early.
I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, there is still rain coming down. So water is still coming down onto the track. I think it is, yeah, as you say, too early to go on to the mediums here. But this is going to bunch our field up quite significantly as Flavio reaches the safety car and goes back down to safety speed.
Yeah, so it's going to bunch up the field. It's going to give a kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card to Fizzy, who was maybe like a good 20-30 seconds off the leaders after having to pit. So now going to be caught right up with Rafa in front. That's an overtake that Fizzy's going to definitely fancy. But nonetheless, still safety car second of the afternoon.
Shentar going on softs.
Yeah, I don't know about these decisions here, boys. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
I mean, it could be that what they're seeing is completely different to what we're seeing.
Well, I don't know if you were following him on the exit to the pit lane, but he did almost bin it in the wall on the exit to the pit lane.
Maybe softs wasn't the best idea. But then again, you know, you've got 36 seconds back to the next person. You can probably afford to go back onto inters if you need. As Taylor Funk pulls into the pit for a wing change. They're staying on the mediums by the look of it, though.
Yeah, so a wing change because they lost the wing going onto the dry tire too early. And took a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, mind you, as well. So just bad to worse for Taylor Funk.
Speaking of penalties, Flavio has gained a 5-second penalty.
That's correct.
Which is going to seriously kind of damage their position. Especially considering we are due another pit stop at some point in this race.
Absolutely. So the other thing is he is fighting for the championship as well, mind you. He is 18 points back. So as things stand, if he were to hold on to that first place and pick up the fastest lap like he has, he would gain 11 points on his teammate Lucas Jan. It wouldn't be enough to give him the title, but definitely, you know, he's got to fancy this position as long as Giovanni keeps himself between him and Lucas. He'll need help from somebody like Igor in fourth to try and help battle Lucas to maybe take a position off him and drive him further down the table. But Flavio's got to worry about shaving that 5-second time penalty off as well. So that's going to be tough for him to handle. And I don't know, the odds are stacked against him, but still, another safety car here. That's not necessarily going to help his chances either.
Well, I think we're safety cars out for another lap here. So we're going to be going lap 15 under safety car. And, well, I mean, looking at how things are at the moment, as Finale looks like they had a bit of trouble there. With Taylor Funk just in front of them, who's now pulling into the pits once again with that 5-second penalty. It looks like we are going to be going back green flag after this lap.
We should. We definitely should.
We definitely should. I'm looking at what the race director is telling me, and it seems like it's airing towards that, unless something drastic happens within the next 30 seconds, which, gonna be honest, wouldn't put past it.
No. So, still Flavio in the lead, Fizzy in 8th. Rafa's up into 7th, mind you. Remember, he qualified in P20. He's up into 7th position now. So good race so far from Rafa to keep it clean. He won on the intermediates at the right time, and now he's sticking with him. So safety car in this lap, as much of the field has been caught up. So we'll see how Flavio wants to handle this restart. He's going to be the one that sets the pace for the field, and whenever he decides to get the power down is when they go. And let's see when he does just that. He's low second gear right now, and He's upshifted into third, but he's not fully gassed it. Now there he goes. Now he's gassing it. And we are back underway. Green flag racing as Flavio leads him across the line.
Yep, and Giovanni looking for an in into that first turn, not finding it, as we already have a yellow flag. It looks like it's Taylor Funk who has spun out in Sector 2. Towards the back, it's Rafa and Sabbath side by side coming into turn 4 there. Turn 4? Turn 5? One of the two. With Sabbath taking the inside and pulling away.
Yeah, he's pulled away. He's got a half second now between him and Giovanni Santos. Lucas pressuring Giovanni as well. Really trying to get the pass done on this Red Bull and get at his teammate here. What he's going to be looking to do. But, oh, Igor with 3 second time penalty. Oh, no, the Red Bull's run wide.
Yep, so
Giovanni
Lucas,
Santos has run wide.
Lucas has got open field, and Giovanni Santos has dropped down to 6th. Murphy now up to P5. As Axel's closing in on Igor into turn 1, as they're pretty much nose to tail through the center S. And 4/10 the gap between them. Towards the back, Giovanni Santos and Murphy are pretty much side by side down that back straight. Murphy with the inside line, but it looks like Giovanni Santos has managed to get the pass off. Moves back up into P5. Fizzymon is right on their tail though. Currently in 7th and just a 10th between them as they come into the technical second sector.
A nice turn from Fizzy as well. Could definitely look to gain on Murphy's Law. He's got his teammate right behind him as well. He's looking not just to gain on him, but also drag Jackie Jack through the overtake as well, especially if they get up towards the rundown on turn 1. That's exactly where Fizzy looks like he's going to make the move. He's down into turn 1. Jackie Jack still 7/10 off the pace. He's fallen behind his teammate a little bit here, but he's going for the move. It looks like he's got the battery deployed, and so does the Williams in defense. Is Fizzy going to get the move done? He goes. He dives towards the inside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he has. He's gotten past the Williams. Fizzy up into 6th.
Yep, Murphy now down to 7th with Jackie Jack behind. Let's go up towards the front where Giovanni Santos is just a few tenths, a few thousandths behind Axel, and they go up the inside and make the pass. Pushing Axel wide there by the look of it, with Axel having some difficulty keeping the rear wing in line. Now 3/10 separating the two of them, with Giovanni Santos, our previous, kind of second place, is now into 4th.
Nice recovery from Giovanni Santos from P6 to P4. Now looking to pressure Igor for that final podium spot as well. Gaining on that McLaren.
I'm going to interrupt you because Rafa and Steph Farrell, just a couple of tenths between them as they come into turn 11 and into the home stretch here. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens between these two going into turn 1. Giovanni Santos managing to keep P4, we see there. And Steph just tucking in behind for the moment. Back to you.
Yeah, Giovanni looked for that move down into turn 1, but he just couldn't do it. Meanwhile, Fizzy was looking for a move but on Axel, but he also couldn't make it stick. So around towards sector 2 they go. Red Bull looking to get that run on the McLaren up towards the turn. He could dive him, but he breaks very late, but still keeps it on the track. He's looking for space. Sector 2 is not necessarily the area you're going to have a ton of it. Looking for a wider line, get a better run out of this turn. Still, it is Igor ahead for now, as This Red Bull really pressuring Fizzy. Meanwhile, he's going for the move going towards the inside of the AlphaTauri of Axel, but Axel has the inside line on the next turn, and he gets the position back. Fizzy going to be looking for it on the run up to turn 1 as well, as Murphy's Law, that Williams he's passed, is still right behind him. So big fight in the midfield as well for quite a few positions, as Giovanni and Igor fight over the podium as well in third. There is a yellow flag. I believe that's Taylor has once again spun, but yeah, not enough of a room for this Alpine and Fizzy to get the run on Axel going down into turn 1.
Yes, so as it stands, our major battles on circuit. Up front, our 2 Aston Martins, Flavio and Lucas Jan. Giovanni Santos going up the inside of Igor through turn 1, managing to carry it through, sorry, turn 4, turn 5. Trying to carry it through, and unfortunately Igor manages to regain the position. They're switching back as they come into sector 2, and it's back and forth between the two of them. They are too wide through this very difficult technical sector 2 as we come into Bico de Pato, and Giovanni Santos seems to have made the pass and is starting to pull away. Half a second between them.
Nicely done from Giovanni Santos. 4.9 now to the Aston Martins in front, though. It's going to be impossible to catch pretty much still. Nicely done to get into that final podium spot. Recovered from having run wide a few laps ago on the exit to turn 4. So, oh, Igor, meanwhile, he's going for the dive bomb back up on towards the Red Bull of Giovanni Santos, but Santos is just going to keep the door shut. Nicely done from Giovanni this time. Meanwhile, it's the midfield battle. Axel's also looking for this move now. He's brought him into the equation on Igor, and he gets the move done. DRS is enabled, by the way. Steph Farrell's coming to the pits to put on soft compound tires. I think the mediums might be the better choice. They'll get you to the end, although the softs on 15 laps might actually be enough, but Steph has been the first one to pit and go onto the soft compound tire. DRS is enabled.
Yep, so this is where it really tells in terms of our driver's strategy. And just look at that midfield. Igor, 3/10 back to Fizzy, 2/10 back to Murphy, 3/10 back to Jackie, 3/10 back to Sabbath. It is quite the train, and when this DRS pops off, who knows what's going to happen between these 5 drivers as we come around for our first time round under dry conditions. Igor leading the Packers. Lucas Jan makes the pass on Flavio, who I think has pulled into the pits for their soft tyres.
Yeah, pretty much everybody pitting.
Yep.
Flavio's on the softs. Igor's on the softs. Softs is going to be the tire choice here, pretty much. They can get these drivers to the end here. About 15 laps is really the life. 15, 16 laps is the edge of the life. So they're going to get these drivers to the end here. And yeah, it is going to be Flavio coming out in 4th, Axel 5th, Igor 6th, Fizzy 7th, Murphy's 8th, Sabbath 9th. Steph Farrell is up to 10th with the early pit stop. So nicely done by Steph. And yeah, it's going to be soft compound tires for most of the runners. Lundqvist, bro, has gone on to the mediums, as Shentar on his softs will set the fastest lap of the race thus far.
And speaking of fast laps, Igor managing to take the inside on Axel, moving up to P5 provisionally. I mean, we've still got 3 drivers yet to pit. So we'll see what happens with that, especially considering they're getting on those softs a lap earlier, and these softs are a good, what, 4 seconds faster per lap?
Yeah, and look at the track as well. There's not really any spots of rain on this track at all. It's drying up very quickly, so the tires are going to start getting cooked here. And that is our 3 leaders in the pits, though. Jackie, Jack, Giovanni, and Lucas all pitting for the soft. Side by side now for Igor and Axel. Going down to turn 1, Axel gets the position to stick. And so it'll be Flavio and Lucas still maintaining the lead. Axel now P3 as Steph Farrell has the fastest lap of the race.
Yep, and with all of our drivers onto the soft compound and 14 laps to go. That fastest lap is going to keep ticking down. But as it stands, Flavio leads Lucas Jan by 9/10 of a second. Then it's 2 seconds back to Axel. Igor chasing them down with Fizimon right on the tail. And Murphy only half a second behind them in P6. Then it's back to P7, 2.5 seconds back to Sabbath and Giovanni Santos, who are fighting it out for that 7th place. Then Jackie Jack, P9, and Steph Farrell, still in a points-paying position, P10.
As we move into the dry part, you see the sun is starting to come out as well. Flavio sets the fastest lap. Oh, is that Igor running wide? It looks like it. Fizzy's up to 4th. Murphy's Law gets the pass done on the McLaren as well. So Murphy's Law up to 5th. And so this is played right into the hands of drivers like Fizzy and Murphy's Law. So remember, Fizzy was running P12 at one point, and now back up into 4th position. Would love to have a go at chasing down Axel. We'll see if he has the pace, but Axel trying to get ahead towards the leaders, but not much is going to really bring him closer to them. And speaking of the leaders, it is Flavio, but Lucas has got within 2/10. Now it's about 3, about a third of a second. So we'll see with DRS enabled what Lucas can do going down the straight. Certainly Flavio's not going to have much to defend against him.
Yep, as they come into the 3rd sector and cross that DRS detection line, coming into turn 14, and DRS is live. That rear wing is wide open for Lucas Jan. No, it isn't. Or at least it wasn't on my screen. But still setting a 109, still faster than Flavio by 3/10 that lap. So certainly gaining time. Down the back here, that rear wing is wide open though, and starting to make ground. Not enough room to maneuver there. Flavio still leading the pack as they come into the technical 2nd sector. And Ferradu, Lucas Jan just tracing the steps of Flavio throughout this 2nd sector, trying to keep as close as possible to them to try and make the best of that DRS on the home straight. Elsewhere on the field, we have Fizimon just 4/10 back from Axel. As we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. It looks like Finale has had some issues coming off of the track there.
We'll see if this DRS gives Fizimon the Alpine enough to get past this AlphaTauri. Certainly it should. Flavio sets the fastest lap at a 109.0. And yes, it is going to be Fizzy getting the pass done on Axel. He is up into 3rd position. Sabat actually sets the fastest lap, so it's not the Aston Martins. But Sabbath down in P8 now. Fizzy's got to defend against the DRS of Axel, and Axel will get the pass done on the run down to turn 4. Much shorter straight, not going to matter. Axel has regained the podium places.
Well, speaking of podium fights for podium, Murphy's Law is just lurking there, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Just 4/10 behind, mind you. They're going to have DRS this time round on Fizimon. Axel's going to be kind of a sitting duck out there as our leaders start to come into the home straight. Just 3/10 separating Flavio and Lucas Jan as they come into the DRS zone now. Rear wing wide open for Lucas, going full pelt down here, hoping to close up as much of that gap as possible. But the thing is, Flavio has managed to get DRS off one of the rear runners, Taylor Funk, in front of them, currently holding them up.
Interesting. Also, there's been a 3-second time penalty for Giovanni Santos. So my timing board's just gone aloof, but it is Fizzy side by side with the AlphaTauri of Axel. Fizzy has to run wide a little bit there. Still side by side. Fizzy gets the move done. Taylor Funk, 3-second time penalty for him. He's down in 15th. Not going to affect much.
Got to interrupt you there because Giovanni Santos and Igor have been going back and forth for the last 3 turns now. and have been side by side through most of the straight. This is for P6, mind you. With it looks like things have settled out a bit, but there is only 5 tenths between them as they make their way into turn 11 and across the DRS detection zone. Igor's bringing it down to 3 tenths with that DRS wide open. And they're going to have so much speed going into turn 1. Giovanni weaves to make a defensive move, goes wide, trying to force Igor to take the outside line. Igor switching back to take the inside through the center S. And it looks like Giovanni hangs on, and Igor comes off the worst for it. Has gone off the track slightly, but has now moved up to P... No! Whilst they were off track, they moved up to P6, which means... I don't quite know what happened there, to be frank with you.
It's all good. So, still, Fizzy trying to pressure Murphy's. This is the closest battle. Jackie Jack, meanwhile, actually, I beg your pardon, Jackie Jack has gotten above Igor. So, Jackie Jack makes the pass. Igor has fallen from grace a bit here. He's down in now P7, mind you, with time penalties as well to boot. But yeah, the closest battle on track is still Fizzy, as well, down in 9th. Steph Farrell side by side, looking to get the pass done on Sabbath, and has just stuck it, but not in a particularly great place, because Sabbath is might get DRS, might have been broken actually. Something seems to be wrong with the Sabbath. The Alpha. Oh, there's no front wing. There's no front wing on the Alfa Romeo. So Giovanni with another 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is going to be a very costly penalty for Giovanni Santos. Afternoon goes from bad to worse because he's had to get a nose replacement as well. So he's down in P11. It will be P12 when he comes out of the pits. That's with only 8 laps to go, Tipster. It's going to be tough to recover from that position.
It is.
The points as Shentar retires from the session. Shentar's binned it at turn 2, and it's a safety car. Shentar, almost the exact same spot that Firefox has done it. He has done it as well, and it's a late safety car here.
Yeah.
Do you pit for fresher softs now?
It depends who you are. That's the thing, right? As Axel gets a drive-through penalty for speeding on the safety car, that's really gonna put a dampener on their race. Murphy up to P4. I think if you're someone like Axel, I mean, if you're Lucas, do you try for it? You've been trying to get past Flavio for several laps now. Your nearest person is about 10 seconds back and pulling into the pits. It's a difficult call for our front runners, but towards the back, I certainly would think about trying it, especially if you can bunch back up. It's just the trouble is it's getting the passes done on track. A lot of the time, it's having the space to be able to maneuver, and there's only a couple of places on track where you can make meaningful passes. I'd honestly stay out at this point, but a lot of our drivers have come in for fresh softs.
And this is really going to play into Murphy's laws and Fizzy's hands, because like you said, they've come in for fresh soft. The leaders haven't. Flavio, Lucas, Axel, they have not come in for a fresh soft. So these softs are going to offer a lot of grip when the safety car comes back in, which I'm going to imagine is going to be lap 31. I don't think it's not going to come in this lap, but next lap. And well, the thing is, how much is the time difference going to be? Is my point between the fresh softs and the worn ones. Well,
the thing is, the other thing you've got to bear in mind is Axel is out of the equation. Axel's got a drive-through penalty that they need to serve. So at the moment, Murphy is provisional P3 on a fresh set of softs. This is astounding performance from them, with Fizzy just behind in effective P4 now. The time difference between the two of them, 7 laps, you're probably talking a good few tenths. Like we're probably talking somewhere in the region of 8 to 9 tenths per lap. Time difference between a kind of fresh set of softs and what is effectively a half-worn set of softs. So yeah, diving in is definitely, especially if everybody else is doing it, is definitely the better strategy here.
Absolutely. So the leaders, you can't fault them for staying out, but certainly, you know, you don't want to lose the track position to cars that might not come into the pits. Meanwhile, Jackie Jack's got to be careful in that Mercedes. They're kind of revving up towards Igor and trying to threaten to overtake under safety car conditions. Got to be careful not to get a penalty doing that, as the safety car should announce that it's coming in this lap. Field's bunched up, everybody's here, whole gang's here, and now we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Indeed, safety car is going to be in. Flavio is going to just slow the field down. Remember, he needs to gain something like 11 or 12 points on Lucas in order to win the championship, and right now he's only gaining 7, I believe. He's got the fastest lap as well, so it would be 8 points, not enough to get him the driver's title. As we are back to green flag racing, Flavio gasses it. Igor has made a bunch of passes, it looks like, at the line. I don't know, that is, or prior to the line, I don't know if that's going to hold up. What is Igor doing? He is just absolutely flying. It looks like he's got Axel behind him. Are you seeing this, Tipster?
Yes, I'm seeing this. Axel's just in front of him for me, as they come into what is turn 4 into Interlagos, and managing to make the pass on Axel there as well, down the inside. I mean, it's going to be something that might be taken up with the stewards. If they did pass cars before the line, then there may be a conversation had, and I'm going to be honest, I don't want that. I want us to have a final result tonight rather than a bunch of asterisks like last week. Speaking of final results, though, we may well know our driver's champion. Even if Flavio wins tonight's race, they need Lucas Yarn to finish in P6 or lower to have any chance. P7 or lower to have any chance of taking the driver's championship. And even though they have that, they don't have the fastest lap at the moment. That's held by Igor, currently in P3. As Fizzymon manages to make the pass on Axel, Murphy has dropped down to P7. After what was quite an interesting start, you'd have to say.
Yeah, very interesting start. So, still, Igor is in third. He's already a second ahead of Fizzy as well. I don't know where this has come from all of a sudden. I really don't. So, and I can't explain it. So, we'll see if this maintains. Lundqvist has picked up a penalty. There is a yellow flag in sector 2. It is going to be, it is one of the, oh, is it Taylor?
It's Taylor Funk. Taylor Funk has retired from the race after being almost 4 minutes down. But it looks like Axel has dived into the pits for some reason. Interesting to see what's happened there. Oh, it's their drive-through. I forgot about their drive-through penalty. And that's going to push everybody else in the field up. And Axel out of the points with just 3 laps to go here at Interlagos. As Giovanni Santos manages to make the pass on Murphy, pushing them down to 7th place. But Murphy looking to take the inside line. Unfortunately, not actually managing to make the pass and getting a 3-second time penalty in the process. Up towards the front, Fizzymon is gaining on the tail of Igor as they come into sector 3, and this is where it's going to be really telling, because Igor just by a hair's breadth has DRS on Lucas Yarn, so they're both going to have that extra bit of top speed through the start finish line and into the penultimate lap of the race here, with Fizzymon just 3/10 behind. It's a really tight battle for P3.
It is a very tight battle for P3. Fizzy's going to get it due to the penalty, but if he wants to have a go at winning the race, he's got to make the pass, and it doesn't look like he's going to. He doesn't have the battery to either. So Igor gets another time penalty. That's going to really punt him down the standings. Fizzy's going to go for the move down on the inside, and he outbrakes the McLaren. That's a very nice move from the Alpine of Fizzymon. He gets the position. He's 1.2 back. He's got a lap and a half to try and close it down. He's on the fresher softs, but is it going to be too much in front of him? It might just be. Flavio is looking like this could be uncontested, although Lucas is here as well, and Lucas is going to have DRS. So that's what Flavio's going to have to be careful of. Fizzy's going in for the battery deployment. And this is the battle for the top 3 spots. Fizzy trying to stay close. He's got the DRS, but he's falling outside the DRS range because Lucas has got it on his teammate. Lucas is going in for the dive, but it's Flavio to stay in front as Giovanni Santos gets the fastest lap of the race thus far. He's going to go for a move as well.
And Jackie Jack has managed to make the pass on Igor as well. So it's an Alpine 3-4. With Igor taking it back through the back DRS straight. Giovanni Santos taking advantage of that as well. So Jackie Jack down to P6. And that's the pass. Lucas Jan and Flavio side by side. And I think that's Flavio on the inside through that turn there on your screens.
Bless you, but I know what that's done. It's brought Fizzy into the equation. Fizzy could win this race if he plays his cards right. It's coming down to the final lap. It's coming down to the final turn. Fizzy's going to go up towards the inside of one of these Aston Martins. He's got to stick it. He's got to be right on the tail. He's going for it. He's deploying all the battery. He's going to have nothing left. DRS is going to come down to it. It's 3 men for the race win, and it's going to be Flavio that gets it. Fizzymon second. Lucas Jan is in third. Jackie Jack comes home in fourth. Murphy's Law fifth. Sabbath is up to 6 after the penalty. Steph Farrell 7th. Rafa is in 8th, recovering from 20th. Giovanni finds himself down in 9th. Igor in 10th. And then it is Axel, who's still on a lap, by the way. He's just crossed the line. Lundqvist, bro, and finale as the end of the racers. But what a finish from these 3. Fizzy gets his best result of the season here. He finishes just a 10th off the race win of Flavio. And a fantastic result for Fizzy, and a fantastic way to end the season, Tipster.
Yes, what a climactic finish there. 3 wide into that final checkered flag there, and Fizzymon with their best finish of the season. Second time on the podium for them this season. They had 3rd locked up, but this has certainly proven that they can battle with the best of them today.
Well, Tipster, as you go through the race director, I will say, who was your driver of the day? I'll start with mine. I'm going to have to... Oh, it's so tough, man.
It's so tough, right?
It's so tough, actually. Because you want to give it to someone like Murphy's Law, who finished at P5 from 13th. Jackie Jack as well in 4th with the Alpine. I'm going to go with Jackie Jack, actually. I think it's been a fantastic drive from Jackie Jack overall. It's been a crazy race. I kind of want to give it to Fizzy for the nostalgia part of it, but nonetheless, Jackie Jack, I think, is my driver of the day, finishing P4 in the Alpine after starting 12th.
I have to say Murphy with 5th. I think that's their best finish of the season, and they've gone from strength to strength throughout this season. Murphy's certainly up there for me. Kind of want to give it to Fizzy as well. Like, I see what you mean. It's so difficult with this field tonight. I think I'm gonna have to give it. Jackie Jack had a good race back after a long break as well. It's such a difficult call for me, but I think I'm gonna give it to Jackie. I'm going to give it to Jackie. I haven't given it to Jackie before. I've given it to Murphy before. I'm going to give it to Jackie. So that's your race. Let's take a look at your... Oh. Hold on. I was having some issues with our race results.
It's all good. We're waiting on anyone to come in and get hooked up for the interviews. Interviews are open right now, but nobody's joined. But still,
I think Fizzy's too busy popping out the champagne by the sound of it. Oh my goodness!
I can't blame him. I
mean, some of them are probably taking a moment after that tight finish towards the front. I'm waiting on things to finalize here. By the look of well, one thing we can say for certain: Lucas Yarn is your driver's champion. Well fought by Flavio throughout the season, but Lucas Yarn takes the crown.
Well, let's start with the interview, shall we? While you wait for things to finalize.
Yep.
We got two going on right now. I'm gonna bring in the first. I'm gonna bring in is Murphy's Law. It's the man you wanted to give driver the day to, but in the end you agreed with me. As Jackie Jack gets it, but Murphy's Law as well. A hell of a drive from 12th up into 5th. How are you feeling after that absolutely crazy race?
I'm tired. I am like worn out from that because that was just intense. I mean, we go from full wet to inters to dry and then pit again. I can't even remember the first part in the race where it was wet because like I was just so focused and just trying to not crash and keep it on the track. And then when we went to full dry, where I was track position wise, I was like, all right, I feel comfortable here. I was with Fizzy and Axel, and honestly, I wish I was I wish there was that last safety car at the end, because honestly I was fine riding with them too, and then on like the last few laps try to make my move to the podium. But then when that safety car came out, yeah, it kind of gave me a chance for the win because I was like the first one on new tires. But I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just the inexperience from not warming my tires up and then waiting to go and having the lap cars in front of you, and then they started going and I tried to go, and then the game told me that I was doing an illegal overtake, so it's like, well, I gotta give that back. I mean, you know, it was pretty much chaos there at the end, and I was just trying to control everything.
Talk me through the restart, because it looked like Igor like hit an RKO from out of nowhere. All of a sudden he was just up into 3rd position. So what happened on the restart?
I don't know what Igor was doing. I think he was just in a different net code somewhere, because I think he was somewhat of a pinball all race, especially that last lap with Giovan. I mean, I thought those two were going to take each other out, but I mean, I mean, once I saw them go, I went, and then no one else went in front of me, like the lap cars. I just decided to go too. And then I let Fizzymon go because I'm a better driver when I follow somebody. You know, if there's someone's in front of me, I follow them because I can just follow through with them. But if I'm like the lead driver trying to do everything here, I'm like, I kind of need a rabbit to chase, because I mean, I know the rabbit's out far ahead, but I mean, I need him like right in front of me.
Well, look, 5th place in the end. Fantastic finish to a season that's been quite a bit crazy, and for you personally, at least your results, right? This is the best result of the season. You found a lot of point scoring kind of finishes here towards the last third of the season. Mm-hmm. What do you take from this season? Are you happy about where you finished? I mean, this 5th place is going to put you on 26 points. You're gonna jump Mycon. You're gonna jump Mycon at least. So you're gonna finish in 14th. I think Shentar scored points as well, so you'll probably finish just behind him. So, what are your feelings on the season, and what are you gonna take into next?
Well, first off, did I really finish with 26 points?
You finished with 27. 27.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, because if it was 26, that would have been such a weird coincidence, because this past week I celebrated a birthday and I turned 26, so that would have been really really weird how that would have worked out. Maybe I should have just let it slow down a little bit at the end of the race and let Sabbath pass me, and then that way I could have had 26 there just for the, 20 for the number. But
well, here's the thing: if you'd have gone for the 26, you'd have dropped down below Shentar because you'd have had. I think Shentar would have had you on countback.
Okay.
But it is. I'm just tabulating everything now, and it is.
Yeah.
Close.
Okay. Well, either way, I mean, to answer Ben's question, for next season, this season was just a bunch of it was pretty much a high and then a lot of lows just from DNFing a lot, and that did kind of took a shot at my confidence, and just kind of like, well, what am I gonna do? Do I want to go back next year if I want to keep racing? But I just kind of put my head down. I even told Tipster, I put my head down and just kind of all right, just try to finish at least one race, and then I did with Japan, and then I mean, today it was just being in that situation for the first time, running up front and just trying to, I guess, finish again. So to get fifth is, I want to say it feels like a win, but really it doesn't feel like a win because I was so close to getting a podium, because I would have been overjoyed with third. I mean, nothing in my mind was thought about getting first, but yeah, for next season, I mean, take a little break and then just come back again, and I want to be a more consistent driver, put it that way, because I would if I would just finish with one DNF next season, I'll be happy.
Well, there you have it. So look, I think it's totally possible, and look, if you do finish with just one DNF next season, maybe top 10's on the cards in the championship. But overall, great race tonight, Murphy's Law. Congratulations, and enjoy it. Yep. And enjoy the break as well, and have a great holiday and a great New Year, mate.
Hey, AG, thank you guys.
Congratulations on a great season as well. Went from strength to strength towards the end of the season there. It's amazing. And we'll hopefully see you. Well, have a great Christmas. Hopefully see you next season.
Yep, thank you guys. You guys have the same happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and enjoy the break.
Thank you, Murphy. So, Murphy's Law. Congratulations to him, 5th place. We got Steph Farrell, Sabbath, Fizzy, Jackie Jack. Who do you want in here?
Oh, okay.
Yes,
we got quite the choice, haven't we? Let's get Sabbath in here, shall we?
All right. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself in the Alfa Romeo. It's Sabbath with a. I can't remember where you finished.
P6 after penalties.
That's what I thought. I was like, wait, where's the screenshot? P6. So look, overall, a really good performance. It's got to be said, right? P6. It's tied for your second best finish, or I'm sorry, your third best finish of the season, which was also in Portugal, and also in Austria as well. So another solid points paying position, Sabbath. Talk me through. How you feel about the result of the race?
Multiple recovery drives going on, to be honest with you. There was the decision not to box onto the intermediates at the second, I think it was second safety car, because we were all under the impression that it was way too wet, and then on the very last lap it just suddenly went completely dry, and we were like, okay, so we need to get on the intermediates. I tried to stick on it, it was just no grip whatsoever. Boxed, went to the intermediates, was making decent progress. Second safety car happened, made some more progress. We boxed for the dries, I think a few laps after that, went into the soft tires, and I was trying to take advantage of the Giovanni Igor battle. I don't know if you caught that on the stream. We went 3 wide into T4. We didn't make it to T4 though, because Jack was behind us, and he showed me his replay. He had such an overspeed on us, and I guess he told me he was trying to lift off, and ended up hitting me into the wall, lost my front wing. After that, the lap after, I think it was a safety car right when I was leaving the pits, so it was just another recovery drive from there, just grab as many positions as I could in the last 5 laps of the race. And I was aiming for P5. I didn't get it by 9400ths, but I mean P6 is also a solid points paying position considering that that has put me ahead of Axel in the standings. What else might happen? I don't know. I'm gonna look into it with Jack and see if maybe a report has to be made for what happened. So, but yeah, I'm satisfied, but feel like there was a little bit more to come in there. But just looking forward to the next season now.
About that finishing ahead of Axel, so you finish in P9th in the championship, just 4 points off Steph Farrell and 5 off Jackie Jack. So are you happy with where you finished in the championship? Do you think there was more on offer, or are you overall kind of happy with a top 10 finish in 9th?
For the season I had, and considering that my second half of the season was exponentially better than my first season, I am quite happy with where I finished to be in P9, even if I don't jump Jack or Axel, or sorry, Jack or Steph after whatever happens after this. Because there was a point in the season where I was like, okay, I'm having flashes of I might be quick here, but I can't string it together. The last couple races, Suzuka, China, Imola, and now here, it's just been I'm getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but at some point in time, for a few laps, I had the fastest lap of the race, which to me was completely unprecedented. I did not expect to be that quick. So yeah, to be moving the way I'm moving right now, I'm definitely looking forward to next season. I think I'm going to be split 1, and I'm looking forward to fighting the front again.
Well, we look forward to it as well. So look, overall, nicely done. 6th place, 9th in the championship, and you know, looking forward to having you back next season, hopefully. So have a great Christmas, a great holiday, and a great New Year as well.
Thanks, you too.
Sabbath, everybody, thank you so much, Sabbath, for joining us, and that is a good performance from him overall. So, Steph Farrell, Jackie Jack, and Fizzy, who do you want there, Tipster?
Let's get Jackie Jack in here, shall we? I feel Fizzy needs more time with the champagne.
It's the unanimous driver of the day, Jackie Jack, coming home in P5. Congratulations, Jackie Jack.
I'm driver of the day?
We both voted you driver of the day, yeah.
Wow. All right. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it was a pretty fun race. Also, I bet
you finished P4. I beg your pardon. So, yes,
pretty intense.
Yeah, so, and you qualified P11, so that definitely earns you driver of the day. But
yeah,
talk us through...
my game crashed on my final run into quali. I was about to cross the line to start it, and the game just went kaput.
Oh.
So, you know, I'm really happy that didn't happen during the race, because I've been having game crashes practicing leading up to this race. So, worked out.
Well, talk us through how's it feel to finish in P4? I mean, it's joint
I think
your
it equals
best
my
finish.
season.
It does with Azerbaijan and Baku, but also you leapfrog 2 positions in the Drivers' Championship at the very end, and you finish P7, just a point ahead of Steph Farrell. So how's it feel to have both finish P4, but also finish P7 in the championship?
The championship is nice, but the individual performances are even better. Yeah, I was really proud of how I did, especially the second half of the race. I kind of got messed up in the wet. I don't know how they knew to pit onto Inters, the front runners, because Jeff was not being very helpful. He was just saying, wets worked really well. And it's like, thanks.
Jeff is helpful?
No. So yeah, but in the second 2, I pitted for softs under the last safety car there. But so for those 2 runs on softs, I was really proud of how well I pushed on them with minimal mistakes. My only mistake was kind of taking out. I think you just had Saba in here. I might have taken him into the wall a tiny bit, which is very unfortunate because I know him, and it's also possibly going to be my first incident inquiry against me since August 2020, I believe, which is unfortunate to bring that streak to an end if he decides to put it in.
Talk to me about the restart, because Igor kind of just flew out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, really towards the end of the race, dropped back. He finished P10. So, what happened with the restart that made Igor so good? And just it kept you able to, kept your nerve and eventually got the pass done as well.
So I think first I'd like to applaud Igor because I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but somebody hit the button very quickly off the grid and he accidentally clicked it. So he ran the whole race with a default setup, I believe. And that's what it looked like based off his straight line speed. So I think he actually just drove really well in the wet and positioned himself very well for the dry. But once it was the dry, people's pace that they practiced came out. And obviously he was on a not ideal setup. So he kind of got swallowed up. But I applauding him for sure for what he did on a default setup. But the restarts were pretty intense with everybody being low fuel softs. And just there was one point where it was kind of like a Tuscany 2020 situation where I thought everybody was going and then they weren't going and slammed on the brakes, but made it work. Igor and Giovan went at it a lot too. I thought they were going to crash. They were battling for many laps. I hope you guys got that on stream because it was quality.
Oh, we were back and forth between them for the entire race. There was a lot going on across the entire track. But we kept coming back to them every time we had a spare moment because it was back and forth between them for a good 3 laps. They just changed position every corner.
Mm-hmm. Some of the moves that were going looked like they would be inquiries if it went wrong, but glad to see it didn't go wrong. And they got that nice battle in.
Well, Jackie Jack, I gotta say, any aspirations ahead of next season? What do you think you can, improve your position or, anything like that? What are your plans for next season?
I hope next season I can race more. I had to miss a few this season. But I think I like my pace, especially around Brazil there. I hope I can continue that on. And hopefully I'll have fun with whoever I team up with, and hopefully we do well.
Well, congratulations on a great finish here in Brazil. 7th place in the drivers' standings, and overall a really good performance and season from you. So have a great holiday and an absolutely happy new year, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Aston Martins. Those guys are absolute aliens, though. Congrats to them for doing so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congrats for P2 and the Constructors as well. So
Fizzy kind of carried that, but I guess I helped.
You scored a good bunch of points for it, so don't sell yourself too short, mate.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too, Jackie. Take care. Jackie Jack, everybody. Big thank you to him. So, Tipster, Fizzy, or Steph?
Let's give Fizzy some more time with the champagne. Let's get Steph in here.
He's gonna hate it. He's absolutely in chat or on stream looking knackered, but he's gonna have to wait a little longer because we're gonna interview Steph Farrell next. Steph, 8th place in the end. A very consistent season from you. Really, it has to be said. You got pipped down a position by Jackie Jack's incredible 4th place finish, so you are going to finish a point behind him in 8th in the standings. But overall, Steph, 70 points, and you scored points in all but 2 races in the season. How do you feel about your finish here in Brazil, but then also the season as a whole?
Well, first off, I think I missed a pretty funny joke when I just got in here, but in any case, yeah. I'm glad that I'm still consistent, that that while my pace leaves a tiny bit to be desired, it's not that far off from most of the friends I have here. And well, just I've had a few very good battles and side-by-side moments, and overall some fun racing. And those 2 races that I didn't score, unfortunately, things went a bit sour, but it's racing, it happens sometimes. Just overall, I always bank on my consistency. Sometimes I'm a bit not aggressive enough, but in the end, at least it results in consistent points, so I just need to find a way to get a little more pace out of myself now.
Well, what was it like? I mean, in the race on the wets, and then moving over to inters, and moving over to softs. Did you feel you got those decisions correct, or did you feel
the first one the first one we certainly didn't. Like we saw the Brazilians and a couple of the drivers going for inters, and we were like, it looks too wet for inters. And then like the safety car is about to go in. And then it goes like, oh, and then Jeff goes like, oh, by the way, we don't know which tire is better anymore. And then we're just like, bruh. Okay, GG. I guess we're gonna pit out after the safety car. So I lost a good chunk of time from that, but then the other safety car kind of brought me back.
Talk about the restart. How'd you find the restart? The last restart, towards the end of the race. Talk about how you found it, and then also seeing Igor kind of slide back the field like he did at the very end, and eventually making the pass on him.
Oh, there's a pretty good reason why he was sliding down the order, and that's because if I'm not mistaken, he was on a standard setup for this race because he readied up too fast. So, yeah, he was not having a fun time.
Yeah.
I mean, I just was focusing on hitting my marks and trying to keep my pace up. Sabbath just was faster and overtook me. As for Igor, well, he was struggling with the setup thing. There was a bit of an incident, a kerfuffle ahead of me at one point before the safety car, so that brought me back in a little bit, and then the safety car happened, and I was able to take advantage of, you know, some of the chaos and the penalties in particular, and finish a little further ahead. So that's another thing. Trying to avoid penalties is kind of paramount, because some of these guys are fast push a bit too much, and sometimes you can get them off penalties.
Oh, well, look, a great performance today overall, and finishing in 7th position, so good points, 6 points. And like I said, you finished 8th in the championship. So aspirations for next season, you think 8th is the benchmark to try and beat for next season? Or are you aiming a little bit higher? What are your plans?
My plans are, well, depending if I'll see if, because I've started working recently, so I'll see if I have the time. But if I do and I race again, hopefully the aim is to improve from here. My abilities now have managed to get me a pretty solid result over a season that's been very competitive, because the guys ahead are fast. So it's no mean feat to, you know, be somewhere at least remotely close to these guys in terms of the championship position. So I'm just aiming to improve. The more I can improve, the better.
Well, look, we hope you can next season, and we certainly look forward to seeing you improve if you do. So have a great holiday, Steph, and absolutely happy New Year.
Same to you guys, and same to our viewers. You guys have a good night.
You too, Steph. Take care of yourself. Steph Farrell, everybody, finishing in P7. And it's time to bring him in. He had the liquor on the stream ready to go. He's ready to celebrate. He's still looking at the scoreboard. He cannot believe it. 2nd place season best for Fizzymon, his 2nd podium of the season. And he secures it in an absolutely dramatic fashion at the line. Fizzy, first off, walk us through making that move, and then just how you're feeling after the 2nd place finish.
So, coming on with that safety car with however many laps to go, I told the guy that was racing with, I was like, all right, you know, this is huge. We're gonna go. I'm going opposite of whatever the Assens do, and they stayed out. I told Murphy, box, like we gotta go. We gotta do something. We had enough of a gap behind us where if everyone behind us boxed, we'd come out in a good position. I saw Axel get the drive-through, which that just sucks because he was having a great race, and I'm assuming that was just, you know, him messing up deltas. Excuse me. So I knew he was easy, but Igor stayed out. When I saw Igor stayed out, I knew that would be trouble. Well, no, sorry, he didn't stay out. He pitted, but so he was behind us on the restart. I told Murphy, I was like, I'm going to try to jump you off the line as soon as possible. Because I think whenever I'm like telling him like I'm going to try to get you, he usually lets me through. And I'm thinking it's not because like he's like, all right, you know, I'm just going to let him through, be nice or whatever. I think it's mentally thinking there's no point in battling. So I feel bad, but don't feel bad about that logic. But anyways, so Igor got an absolute launch because he got us for the overtakes before the start finish line, which it's not allowed, but I mean his penalties kind of ruined his race anyways that he had. So I'm probably gonna have to report that, unfortunately. But he got the launch that he needed, got through on us, and then I got Murphy pretty quickly, and then I kind of just let him pull me along. I got through on Axel before he pitted. Was able to get Igor, part of it because I was going up the inside. I had to overspeed on him through turn 6, I think it was, and he just backed out on the outside. I think he realized that there's no point in fighting it. And it was at that point where I was like, all right, you know, at the start of the safety car period, I was like, I have a chance at winning this race. At that point, I was like, I actually can, but I knew I needed a little bit of help, and the help was there. I mean, Flavio and Jan going side by side through the middle sector, absolutely brilliant battling between the two of them. But I just wasn't able to catch up as much as I wanted through the first sector because it looks like Jan had the I think Jan was in second at the time. He had the overspeed down the main straight coming into the final lap, and then in the DRS zone between 3 and 4. And so I was like a second behind, but once they started going side by side, I was like, all right, here's a chance, just got to find an opening. I had an opening on what essentially is the final corner, turn 12. They were side by side still. Jan was ahead. He was on the inside. Flavio was on the outside. I stuck my nose up the inside of Flavio to follow Jan, but I thought we were going to make contact, so I backed out a little bit. And I think by backing out at that point, it cost me a chance at beating Flavio because I would have been directly side by side with him with the good grip on the tires and that with a chance, because I think Jan at that point was either going to have to choose who is he going to give slipstream to and try to block. And I think he goes to the inside at that point because he knows he can try to box me in, which gives me that slipstream, and then I would be able to maybe make a move somewhere to get around him. But instead, I let off the throttle just enough. It let Flavio, allowed him to squeeze in between the two of us, and because I was running 10-11 wings, I didn't have the overspeed crossing the line, even though I had a lot of battery to burn. It was so close, and I wish I won. But man, that's probably one of my best races ever.
Well, it's one of your best finishes for the season, so absolutely fantastic. Talk us through as well the decision, like the first safety car. I believe you were one of the few cars to stay out on the wets. Like, did you ever feel that the safety car is going to be out too long, and that the track was going to turn into inters, or did you think you know, just the wets were always going to be the right option?
I started getting a little nervous towards the end there. Like on that last lap, I was just like, it's starting to just really out along. The rain kind of doesn't look as bad, but Jeff's still saying that the wets are, you know, ideal. And of course, right before the safety car came in, like it was announced that it was coming in this lap, is when Jeff goes, "Oh, strategy change, intermediates." So we were trying to like hope, because Jeff was like, there's no, you know, rain's not changing, whatnot. He kept saying that, and yeah, I was talking to Jan Fehler in my chat. And he was like, it probably would have been a good idea to put on inners, and yeah, I definitely would have. But I was trying to hope that, like, okay, maybe, you know, it stays heavier rain, because I remember when we looked at how the rain was when we restarted the lobby, it said half of the race was heavy rain. There was one spot of light rain, and then everything else was dry. I just didn't assume that once it started to light up, it would instantly go to inners. I was banking on it really staying heavy and then just all of a sudden changing. So on the restart, once I realized that I didn't have the tire advantage, I was like, well, got to keep these guys in traction zone. I had the restart nailed, but I just I overestimated the amount of grip I had into turn 1 and just locked up, almost went right off the track, and it was kind of curtains at that point on holding the lead there. But it was unfortunate because it stayed out a lap too long for the wets to work, even for one lap. Because the plan is that it stays bad long enough where we can get enough of a gap on the intermediates because it's still raining heavy, and then pit, and then, you know, come out and just run them down, or, you know, maybe even hold out on the wets until it goes dry. But obviously it changed over under the safety car, just decided instantly after the first lap on green flag, I was like, I gotta pit. Like my right front was like 95 and it overheats at 90, and my other tires were almost at 90 as well. And I was like, if I stay out, I'm just gonna be toast. So pitted, and the rest is history.
Well, look, a fantastic performance tonight. Second place, best performance of the season. Are you happy with how things went this season?
I don't think it could have gone any better. The only thing, like, I'm happy about, I say 97% of it. The 3% I'm not happy about was I was hoping I could get a little closer to Jan and Flavio. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was closer than I've ever been, but I was hoping I can close up the gap just that little bit more. But unfortunately, wasn't able to. So that's the only thing I'm happy about. But like how the points played out, like Igor when he came into the league last season, absolutely was smoking me every race. So to be able to beat him, even, you know, whether or not he practiced a lot, doesn't matter. To be able to beat some of these guys who I know can be on raw pace faster than me at times, to be able to at least challenge them, you know, it's a real confidence booster. And I'm really happy with how the season went. Because the whole time while I was improving, I was bringing along everyone that I practiced with a lot. So like you have Saba, Murphy, Jack doesn't really practicing a lot because he's just, you know, just other things, but he was coming on. Steph even's coming along, even if he says otherwise. So to be able to pull people along, and like as much, even though the gaps between me and them were still about the same throughout the whole season, but to be able to close up to the gap to these guys at the front, who are also now all of a sudden doing essentially times that could have made them into the Esports Challenger Series if they really tried their butts off. Like, it feels good. So like, I can't be too upset about that because how today went in qualifying, I didn't have a great last lap, but I was doing 6/8 for the most part in my final run. So I think I could have gotten third, and that's only 2/10 off of Jan and Flavio at the front. So I mean, I was improving a lot, and I'm pretty happy with how it went. And also from like a coordinator standpoint, it was a pretty civilized season. We didn't have any like, you know, personalities, like any divas, anyone trying to be so negative or whatnot throughout the season. It was a really civil season, and it was really fun to organize. And I'm hoping everyone comes back. I had I think 1 or 2 drivers message me saying they might not return, but unfortunate. But I'm hoping everyone else comes back because I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys did too, because it was a really good season. Hopefully, you know, next season, because last spring we were able to recruit a lot of Brazilians into the tier, and I know some of them have still been racing on and off. So like even guys like Jao Piana, who's, you know, he was a reserve unfortunately because he just didn't want the full-time seat when I offered it to him. You know, if we can get guys like that coming back even as reserves, full-time, whatnot, I think we can get even more action, because you look at the battling that Flavio and Jan, like how fast they are, and you look at some of the other battling we've had throughout the season, like there are plenty of guys that you could fill out in between all the gaps from the top end to let's say back to 12th, because once you get lower there, that's going to be tier 2 if we have enough drivers, where at that point it's a different crop we're talking about, because a lot of these Brazilian drivers that I know of, they're really quick. I mean, just look at how the tier went. I mean, there's the jokes of it being Brazilian tier, and I mean, they're ridiculously fast and it's awesome. But all these gaps, so like the 2/10 gap between Gio and Jan, between second and third, for example, you could get that filled in by 3 or 4 drivers. The gap between Igor and me, that's a 10th, you could get that with like 1 or 2. So there's so many drivers out there that I would hope that can come out next season, fill in those gaps, we can get it even more competitive, because when it comes to the race, I mean, you saw how close that finish was, and that was between a driver who was 3-4 tenths off pole. Now imagine you place that with, you know, a bunch of other drivers, and you get, all of a sudden, you get a very, very entertaining race.
One last quick question for you.
Of course.
What are you more proud of, finishing third in the drivers or second in the constructors?
Third in the drivers. I say that because I'm very proud about the constructors, but my best constructors result was season 3 in ACC. Because me and my buddy Heiko ended up winning that in our tier. So from a constructor's glory standpoint, it wasn't the goal, because I knew we could do well in that. And considering I had the teammate fluctuation with it starting out with Kimmler and then going to Jack, it was definitely revenge for last season, because last season when we were teammates in AlphaTauri, it didn't go as well. But to be able to come home third in the drivers, it feels good. I mean, obviously, still got obliterated by Jan and Flavio, but you know, what else is new? But to be able to, like I said before, to be able to be competitive with like Igor, who really, he came in last season and just absolutely kicked my butt, because he replaced Jack towards the end of the season, and he just came in and kicked my butt left and right. But to be able to be competitive with him, be competitive with Lars, who had a great season, unfortunate race today, but you know, competitive with a lot of these guys who come in and just are really good, and to be able to come out actually on top of it, it's probably was my best season ever. I had my second season, I battled for the title back with Steph, back when our field, we weren't that fast back then, but we just didn't have the higher end talent at the time. And to be able to battle for the title, that was fun. But this season, like, that third place essentially is a win for me. And hopefully next season I can not lose to Jan and Flavio by, you know, double the score, but we'll see. I won't get too excited. Maybe if I can make it like a 50% gap, we'll call it a win for next season. But I won't get too ahead of myself just yet.
Well, look, absolutely fantastic work all season long, and we definitely look forward to the next season. So enjoy the time off. Have a wonderful holiday. Have an absolutely fantastic New Year, Fizzy.
Thank you. Cheers.
Fizzymon, our final interview. So that pretty much puts the bow on this season for us, Tipster.
Yeah, pretty much. Just a few things to round off. First of all, what a race. Gotta say.
Yeah.
What
absolutely.
An absolute stonker of a race, and what a season we've had. It's been battles all through the table, and not one race where I've felt that it's been entirely predictable as to what's going on.
No, I don't think with the amount of incidents we've had and just the craziness and the weather and everything else, you could predict. But it's been absolutely fantastic to be a part of it. So I just want to thank really quickly our wonderful sponsors who helped bring the whole season to you. Elgato, makers of the absolutely excellent Stream Deck. Definitely check them out. Elgato.com. I'll be picking me up one of them as I head into the next Counter-Strike season too, and certainly would help with streaming Formula One as well. Driver61, you can check out his Sim Racing Academy. Get 25% off a consultation session and free coaching session when you use code AOR Driver61. That's code AOR Driver61. Visit driver61.com for more information. And SimSok, we'll get the testimonial from Fizzy, who's getting a pair for Christmas. So it's strategically placed unique grips, cushioned heel for comfort during endurance events, breathable panels, arch support, gotta have it, it's fantastic. And special Cool Max yarn that wicks away moisture, which means there are no more feet slipping off the pedals when you race. Check them out at SIMSOK, SIMSOK.com.
So, I think there's one final matter to address before we close the season out, and that is the final standing. So let's take a look at how the Drivers' Championship ends up after that phenomenal finish at Interlagos. So, right up the top, winning the championship by 8 points, Lucas Jan, tonight's third place finisher, but did just enough over the course of 15 previous races to take Drivers' Championship. Flavio putting in a very good show, 7 first place finishes, 7 seconds and 2 thirds over the course of the season. Fizzymon, who we just heard from, only 2 podiums over the course of the entire season, but fairly consistent 4th places, puts them in 3rd overall. Then we have Igor and Lars, who both finished outside of the points tonight. Igor finishing our championship in 4th, Lars in 5th. Giovanni Santos took 2 points home for crossing the line and 1 point for the fastest lap, bringing them up to 78 overall. Then in P7, having jumped 2 places with a 4th place finish tonight, is Jackie Jack on 71. Steph Farrell takes 8th with consistent finishes throughout the season, 14 of those 16 races. being points finishes, and the other two, unfortunately, had incidents that went to the stewards. Then P9, moving up one place, jumping Axel in the standings, is Sabbath, who finished 6th on track tonight. Then we have Axel, who ended up taking 10th place and finishes in P10 in our championship. Our first reserve oh, apologies, that has gone to the wrong screen. There we go. Our first reserve driver on the standings, Piana, with 1 win, 1 podium, and 1 fastest lap. 47 points, puts them 11th overall. Tzazik finishes in 12th. Murphy scoring a 5th place finish tonight. 10 points brings them all the way up to 27, jumping 2 places to 13th. Then we have Shentar with 26 points in 14th. Maikon unable to finish tonight in 15th. Rafa jumps 2 places after finishing 8th tonight into 16th on 12th. Then Bulldog and Firefox there as well. And Lundqvist finishing out our lineup of full-time drivers. Let's see the final constructor standings as a result of that then. Benny, are you okay to take this?
Absolutely. So the final constructors standings, Ferrari finish in 10th with 18 points. Williams picks up 10 points at the death here to secure 9th place over Ferrari. Mercedes will finish in 8th on 41. Alfa Romeo in 7th on 64. Red Bull have 6th place, 90 points, and just 3 points back from the reserves team if they were to be counted here, who had 93. Haas finishes 5th, 109. AlphaTauri is going to secure 4th place with 121. McLaren will secure 3rd with 140. Alpine finished 2nd with 236. And Aston Martin finished at the top with 680 points, almost triple of what any other team has managed to secure this season. So congratulations to the 2 Aston Martins for the Constructors title.
Yeah, and not only that, but also managing to achieve a podium in every 2 podiums in every single race across the season. That is no mean feat. Not just having the pace, but also having the capability to keep it on track and also ensure that they're not involved in any major incidents as well. It's time for final words, Benny. Anything you want to say before we sign off, not just for tonight, but for the season?
No, big thank you to you for helping carry the commentary throughout the season. Been an absolute pleasure to work with Tipster. It's been great to cover. I look forward to next season.
Yep, and thank you so much to all of our drivers, to all of you for watching, to our sponsors for making this possible, and also a big thank you to Benny for showing me the ropes, because this is my first season commentating. Hope you've all enjoyed it. It's been a wild ride. But that's all from us here at Apex Online Racing for tonight, for the season, and for the year. Good night, and drive safe.
Text Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.